My peoples, my peoples, welcome to another episode of Boxing for Breakfast, where you get your healthy dosage of sweet science early in the morning. Let me kick this thing off by saying happy Monday to everybody, happy holidays as well. We had a beautiful weekend of boxing. Shout out to everybody who's already tuning in. Toy Mafia in the building side. What's the deal, my G? We on it. JJ's in their house. What's the deal, family? Check it, my peoples. We had a great card of boxing. Riyadh season, Saudi Arabia. Whoa. Now, I missed out on the first fight of the night. I saw some highlights and I saw that it was a good fight, but it's hard for me to just speak on it the same way that I can speak about the other three fights because I got to see them, I got to call them, and whoa, interesting, and exciting night of boxing. Oh, wait a minute. Morning of boxing for us on this side of the world. So for me and a lot of you, it was an exciting morning of boxing. We was watching these fights at 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, and wow. I'm going to kick this thing off, my peoples, by telling you about Edison, and this is a Dominican fighter, Edison Garcia, who fought Tiger Imanaga. Man, listen, my peoples. Edison Garcia is a Dominican fighter. As you guys know, I'm Dominican, but I'm not very familiar with him. I've seen highlights. I know he can fight, but I'm not very familiar like that with him. Based on what the announcers were saying, the way that the commentators was talking, it's like he got taken there to lose. Why? Leading up to the fight, Edison Garcia, his record was 22 wins and 1 loss. Tiger Imanaga, on the other hand, had a record of 9-0 going into the ring versus Edison Garcia. And I remember hearing one of the commentators saying, listen, this is going to be a very good test for Tiger Imanaga. Let's see how he's going to look. Let's see what he's going to show us tonight. So it's almost like to them, Edison Garcia was taken there to lose. They took him there to give Tiger Imanaga a test. Imanaga, with a record of 9-0, is actually a Japanese prospect who they have high expectations for. Imagine when you see a kid with a record of 9-0, young, and they taking him to face somebody who's 23-0, you have high expectations of that young fighter. And I don't know anything about Tiger Imanaga's amateur background, but I guarantee you he's a standout. He has a standout amateur career. Guarantee you that he can fight. The kid is nice. But it turns out that Edison Garcia was more than he can handle. What a fight, my peoples. First of all, early on you saw Imanaga landing big shots and using his footwork, his angles. But the consistency of Edison Garcia, he kept catching him with big shots, kept going forward. And ultimately, he dropped him with a bomb. Boom! Tiger Imanaga went down and he was hurt. He was hurt, my peoples. But he also showed his pedigree because after being hurt, he was able to fight back. And it turned into a slugfest. Basically, what happened in this fight is that Edison Garcia dictated the pace. He dictated how it was going to play out. He applied that pressure, and Tiger Imanaga, tried his best to respond. But he just couldn't do it. He just couldn't do enough. Garcia, with the power punches, with the accuracy, he was just, with the counter punches too. Then on the inside, bam, bam, catching him. Look, I'm going to tell you this right now. Edison Garcia and Tiger Imanaga. Both of these fighters, my peoples, keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on both of these fighters, my peoples, because I'm telling you, even though Tiger Imanaga obviously lost this fight, this kid can fight. He's a good fighter. But in this case, the Dominican fighter pulled off the monster upset. Even, think about it. That shows you how good Imanaga is. Think about it. Imanaga went into this fight with a record of 9-0. And Edison Garcia was 22-1. So the guy who has more than double the wins was still the underdog in this fight. That's how good Tiger Imanaga is. A prospect that, you know, they have expectations for in Japan. But he got upset by Edison Garcia. And it was a real good fight. You know, it's not like Imanaga got washed or anything like that. They went back and forth. Imanaga did his own thing too. But ultimately, you started to see Garcia taking over, landing more big shots, and boom, until he dropped them. And then after he dropped them, those big bombs kept landing. You know, Imanaga is a very tough fighter. And I'll tell you, we're going to see and hear from him again. Tiger Imanaga. He lost. His stock went up. I became a fan of his after watching this fight. That's what I tell you, my people. Sometimes a fighter loses and their stock can still rise. And Imanaga, in my opinion, he did that. Now I became a fan of his. However, Edison Garcia pulling off the upset, my Dominican brother. I spoke to him on DM, congratulated him. He was like, that's what's up, my brother. So there you have it. Edison Garcia, keep an eye on him. The kid can fight. Power, skills, aggressiveness, likes to apply pressure. So he's an exciting fighter to watch. There you have it, my peoples. So that's the first fight of the night that I got to enjoy. And if you did not see this fight, my people, I suggest you at least watch the highlights. Edison Garcia versus Tiger Imanaga. Very competitive fight. And if you didn't watch it, I suggest check it out. Moving on to the next one, my people. This was controversial. We had to have controversy this weekend. Junto Nakatani versus Sebastian Hernandez. My peoples, did you watch that fight? Did you watch that fight? Now, I'm going to say this. I got to say it. Before the fight, those of you who were on here know that I specifically said Sebastian Hernandez comes across like the type of fighter who's going to keep coming forward, who's going to keep throwing punches, and who's going to make it a long night for Junto Nakatani. In fact, I even compare him to Sam Noakes with Abdullah Mason. And I said, listen, this is the type of fighter that he's not going to go, he's not going to go away. He's going to keep coming forward. And funny thing is, you guys know I was calling this fight. The first round, Junto Nakatani was putting hands on him. Sebastian Hernandez did absolutely nothing. He put a few jabs out there and that's it. It's almost like the lights were too bright for him and he couldn't react. He looked super nervous, super tight, just wasn't doing anything. The first round, I think Sebastian Hernandez, maybe we saw 2 jabs from him in the first round. Then the second round, he kind of did a little bit more. And people in the comments were saying, this guy's going to get stopped inside of 6 rounds. He's going to get stopped inside of 5. He's not doing anything. But when round number 3 came, Sebastian Hernandez started to look alive. He started to let the hands fly. He started to go hard to the body. Junto Nakatani kept fighting back. Junto Nakatani, it's not like he was out there getting beat up or not, but Sebastian Hernandez kept closing the gap and landing shots to the body, to the left and the right. Bam, 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 hard shots. And Junto Nakatani fighting back, using the footwork, using the angles, but it was relentless pressure from Sebastian Hernandez. He just kept going forward the whole time. Eventually, by the time they got to round number 6, Junto Nakatani started to slow down. And you started to see that he started taking more punches. You started to see less footwork. He started now to sit in the pocket and trade leather with Sebastian Hernandez. Sebastian Hernandez started to win more exchanges now. The tide started to shift in his favor. And it turned into a slugfest. That's the type of fight that Hernandez wanted. Because Nakatani, he can slug, but he can outbox you. And he likes to box. Pop, pop, move around, use his angles, use his movement. Nah, Hernandez took that away from him with that relentless pressure, those body punches. This is the classic case, as a matter of fact, where you have a skilled fighter who can outbox his opponent, use his footwork, but that opponent is applying that relentless pressure, landing big shots to the body, and eventually the better boxer slows down. All of a sudden, that footwork is not there anymore. Now he's trading more punches, more consistently. So the way that this fight played out, a lot of people didn't think it was going to happen. You know, they expected Sebastian Hernandez to go in there and Nakatani to blow him out of the water. And this is another perfect example of something that I always say. Don't underestimate a fighter just because you don't know him. We do that too often. If you see that a fighter is undefeated, maybe he hasn't faced world-class competition. Maybe he hasn't beaten, great fighters. But you don't know his level of skill, his talent, until you see him. Don't make the mistake of underestimating somebody because, I never heard of this guy. He probably a bum. I refer you to Bakram Murtasaliev. A couple years ago, we never heard of him. Came out of nowhere, beat the crap out of Timzo. Just like that. And we didn't know him. This guy's fighting in small venues in Europe. We didn't know him. But now we do. Came out of nowhere. So this guy, Sebastian Hernandez, is a fighter who undefeated, and people just felt like Junto Nakatani was going to run through him, make it look easy. Well, what a fight, my peoples. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This is without a doubt a candidate for Fight of the Year. That's the type of fight it was. The ebb and flow. Round number 9, my peoples. If you did not watch this fight, I say just go watch round number 9. Watch round number 9 at least. That was crazy. It got to a point in that round where they had an exchange and they just gave up on blocking or slipping punches. They was just punching each other. That's it. Bam, 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 landing punches in each other's face. Crazy. Type of exchange that you see in a movie. Niang Singh, Junto and Reyes told me something about opponent. Listen, man, Junto Nakatani faced a tough opponent in Sebastian Hernandez. And I'm going to say, man, at the end of that fight, I'm not sure. I didn't, when that fight finished, I didn't feel like Nakatani won, to be honest, my brother. I didn't feel like Junto won that fight. It felt like Sebastian Hernandez won, or maybe it was a draw. And you know what? If they would have gave a split decision to Junto Nakatani, maybe I would have said, you know what? Those swing rounds went in his favor. But, man, we never seen somebody land so many punches on him and put him in that situation. I think the mistake that he made is that he decided to slug it out. And He had a volume puncher that was going to apply relentless pressure for 12 rounds. Mo, I'm Japanese. Salute, family. Bam, 777, Jingon. Mexico versus Japan. Taco versus sushi. It was like World War III. It was wild. What a boxing match. For a real fight. The real fight of the year. I said it, man. Junto Nakatani versus Sebastian Hernandez may have given us the fight of the year. They may have actually gave us that. And round number 9, the way that that round played out was insane. Man, the type of punches they was landing on each other. And I want you guys to consider this about that fight. I'm going to compare it real quick to Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes. Why? Because Junto Nakatani faced an opponent that was not going to back down, that's going to keep punching, that's going to keep coming forward, that's going to keep applying pressure throughout the whole fight. Well, Abdullah Mason faced that same type of opponent when he fought Sam Noakes. And what did we see in that fight? Abdullah Mason had to rise above. He had to go to a level that he never been to before. He had to be better than ever to beat Sam Noakes. And that's exactly what he did. In this fight, Junto Nakatani stayed at the same level and he banged it out with Sebastian Hernandez. But you never felt like he stepped it up and started separating himself. It was just a close fight where Sebastian Hernandez was landing more punches, harder punches, and closed out the fight. The last round, Nakatani went back to using his footwork, which is something that he should have been doing, but he didn't. And it's that pressure, that constant pressure from Hernandez, who's just going forward, not giving you an inch, not allowing you to set for your punches, not allowing you nothing but punches to your face and body. What a fight. And again, this is one of those where the guy lost, but a lot of people are giving him credit, and a lot of people felt like he won that fight. So Sebastian Hernandez, another guy who gained a lot of fans after that fight. By the way, my peoples, almost half an hour in the building, giving y'all this real breakdown, and that's what y'all got for me, man. Not even 10 likes, man. Y'all got why y'all ghost watching me like that, man? Double tap that screen. Stop playing with Jay Smith. Listen, my peoples, I digress. Shout out to the ghost watchers that refuse to hit that like button. Let's move on. Look, they gave Junto Nakatani the win, but a lot of people felt like he lost that fight. A lot of people felt like he lost that fight. And then the conversation after the fight shifted into how about him and the monster fighting next year. Nakatani says that he specifically moved up to that division because he want to face Naoya Inoue. So it looks like we may get that fight next year. It really does look like it because he got the W and that's what he called out. And then they mentioned his name to the monster, and you guys know, Naoya Inoue is really about that action. So there you have it, my peoples. Congratulations to Junto Nakatani. Walked out of there with the W. Tough fight. Controversial win, but nonetheless, he got the win. There you have it. And then, of course, the main event. Naoya Inoue versus Picasso. David Picasso. This fight was interesting, and leading up to this fight, there were expectations. You guys know that the monster is a certified knockout artist. One of the hardest punches in the game, pound for pound. So the expectations were that he was gonna knock Picasso out. You know, lots of people in the comment section saying that. Now I didn't say that. Those of you who know that I even asked the questions leading up to the fight. When was the last time that you saw a young, undefeated fighter get knocked out? A young, undefeated Mexican fighter get knocked out. When's the last time you see that? And somebody mentioned Fernando Vargas. That was over 20 years ago when Tito Trinidad knocked him out. And I'm pretty sure there's more undefeated Mexican fighters who got knocked out after that, but it happens so seldom that we can't even come up with names like that. So based off of the fact that Picasso is like a 26, 27-year-old undefeated Mexican fighter with the experience that he has in the ring, I said, this guy's not getting knocked out. He could make it interesting. Now, the way the fight got played out, he got outclassed, but also it seemed like the lights were too bright for him. Because he had moments where you saw success, with his combination, with his accuracy, but he just didn't do enough. Too little. And too much space in between where he actually let his hands go. But he won exchanges where they traded inside the phone booth. Bam, 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 bam. And he did his thing. But how many times did he do that in the whole fight? 3 times, maybe 4? J-Max, salute. Bam. So you have to understand that David Picasso was there to fight. I was surprised because I thought that he was going to use that footwork. I thought that he was going to use that reach advantage. And he did. He did. He was right there. Right there, right in front of him. Bam, 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 inside the phone booth. But getting outboxed, getting beat. But no running. We never saw him using that footwork to try to get away. Niang Singh, you can't kill because his hand wraps. I meant Inoue. Clifton Dennis. Ryan Garcia, young Mexican who got stopped. Yeah, but Ryan Garcia's never been... Okay, he got stopped. We could say that. But you know that Ryan Garcia is really considered American. So, you know, we can't have him be Mexican for some arguments and be Mexican for other arguments. You know, born in the USA, American and all of that stuff. So, I'm just saying, you know, that there's that. J-Max, sorry. I didn't watch this late. This fight. It was a good fight. You know, Picasso, I would say he got outclassed, but also outworked. More based on some of the things that I saw him doing, it looks like he got outworked and the lights was too bright for him. Like he just couldn't operate. He was frozen like a deer in the headlight. Because when they had those exchanges, few of them, but they had those exchanges where they both stuck it out, trading leather, Picasso had success. He showed that he could bang with the monster right there at point blank range. But he didn't do it enough. He wasn't consistent with his assault. And the monster, that's the one thing, my peoples. You think about it, when it comes to Naoya Inoue, he's the type of fighter that he's going to do what he does regardless of what his opponent is doing. Regardless. He's going to go there and he's going to do what he does. You got to beat him at that. Because he's going to do it. Naoya Inoue has one of the best jabs in the game. Stiff, strong, hard jab. Not a lot of fighters throw that jab like Naoya Inoue. He throws a jab like he's trying to hurt you with it. Like he's really trying to. Let me show you. Let me show you my peoples. Right? Watch this. There's the jab, right? I got my opponent in front of me and I'm jabbing, right? Bam, 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 bam. But now you know when he's jabbing, you see him going like that. Like, you could tell that he's putting his whole body weight behind that jab. Like he really trying to hurt you, break your nose, break your mouth with that jab. Damn, can't see that shit. Clifton Dennis. So who we favor, him or Bam? I'm not making that prediction yet. That's a real good fight. Now, yeah, Inoue versus Bam Rodriguez. I think that's a mega fight. We'll probably get Inoue versus Nakatani first. That's a good fight, though. That's a real good fight. Joel Blackwell, why you hit me? Why you hit me? What are you talking about, man? Parado, fantasy fight. Who wins? Nah, man, no fantasy fights right now, my brother. We talking about Naoya Inoue, the monster, potentially going with Junto Nakatani or Bam Rodriguez. That could be happening next year. Could be happening next year. I'm just saying. Clifton Dennis, just saying. Favor, not prediction. It's tough. Look, it's tough to say because that's such a competitive fight. Such a good fight. Even a tough prediction to make. I'm pretty sure people are really going to have to think about it. Right now, man, I would just say that's a 50-50 fight. It's hard to even favor anybody. Because we know they both carry power. Now, Bam is going to be the one moving up. So you have to wonder, he's the one that has to carry his power to a new division and hit a guy who's already up there and you know, make him feel it. TR, Bam said 2 or 3 years before he fights Inoue. 2 or 3 years? I don't know. It could happen, but you have to understand. How old is Naoya Inoue right now? 30? Let me see. I'll Google it. Yeah, I know I don't like to guess. I'll fact check myself, right? Naoya Inoue is 32 years old. Son, yep, you're right. 32 years old. So you're talking about 2-3 years. In 3 years, he's 35. Does he want to fight Bam when he's 35 years old? Is he planning on retiring? Is he planning on moving up another division? So when you start saying this can happen or this will happen 2 or 3 years down the line, you don't really know where a fighter is going to be that far down the line when they're that successful. But it can happen. It can still happen 2 or 3 years down the line. We just have to wait and see when Bam decides to move up. Because I also seen Naoya Inoue say, look, I'll fight him, but I'm not going to wait for him to move up. So it looks like Naoya Inoue is planning on moving up yet again, which will further him from Bam's division. So let's see, my peoples. I really want to see Naoya Inoue versus Bam Rodriguez, but let's see how it plays out. To me, the fight of the night was definitely, and if you watched it, you have to know it was Junto Nakatani versus Sebastian Hernandez. By the way, this fight was crazy because a lot of people saw Hernandez beating Nakatani, number one. And number two, one of the three judges scored it 10 rounds to Nakatani, 2 rounds to Hernandez. That judge needs to be fired today. They need to fire him today, my peoples. 10 rounds to 2 in this fight where this dude was putting all type of hands on Nakatani. Look, that scorecard looked like they turned it in on Friday. That 10-2 scorecard, they turned that shit in days before the fight. Because no way you was watching a fight and score it 10-2. Crazy. Clifton, it's always one funny card, yeah, but that one was too funny. Way too funny. They did not fill that card up while watching that fight. That card was filled up on Friday, or they turned it in together when they signed the contract to fight each other. I don't know when they did that 10-2 card, but it was not during the fight. Clifton, Juto definitely didn't look like a winner. Come on now. And I would have accepted a draw. They could have gifted Junto Nakatani a draw. Okay, the champ, the favorite. Let's gift him a draw. And I think it would have been more easy to digest. But a unanimous decision and a scorecard 10-2? Come on, man. Don't do it like that. Don't do it like that. And I said this. Sebastian Hernandez is the type of fighter who was not going to go away. Before the fight, look how interesting it is. Before the fight, I compared this dude to Sam Noakes. Because remember, Sam Noakes gave Abdullah Mason everything Abdullah can handle. But look at the difference between Abdullah Mason's reaction and Junto Nakatani's. Abdullah Mason rose above. He had an opponent that was not going to back down, that was not going to go away, that was going to keep throwing punches. He had an opponent that was not going to stop punching, that was going to be dropping the hammer on him, and he had to rise above to win that fight, do what he never done before, be better than he's ever been. And that's exactly what Abdullah did. Walked out of there with the W versus a real good fighter in Sam Noakes. Well, Junto Nakatani had the same type of opponent in Sebastian Hernandez. A guy that was not going to stop punching, that was not going to stop going forward, a guy who was going to keep landing his own big shots. And Junto Nakatani was not able to do what we saw from Abdullah Mason. He didn't rise above. He stayed at that level, and him and Hernandez kept going back and forth, and it was a close fight. A lot of people felt like Hernandez won it. Keeping it real with y'all. Devin, Pitbull versus Roach Jr. What's your opinion? Man, listen. I don't even want to get into that. TRC, I think Abdullah is going to have a great career. He's going to accomplish a lot. Abdullah Mason's going to accomplish a lot of big things in the sport of boxing. My peoples, I'm going to take a 35-second break. Go get my hydration right quick. Appreciate everybody tuning in to another episode of Boxing for Breakfast, where you get this healthy dosage of sweet science. My peoples, I don't even got 20 likes, man. And I'm cooking this healthy dosage of sweet science for you. Hit that like button, man. I'll be back 35 seconds. Come on, man. Who do you think won that fight? Nakatani or Hernandez? I'll be right back with you, my people. My peoples, we back in action. Joel said, y'all gonna be timing me. I'm back in the building. Niang Sing, yeah, Junto didn't look like a winner because Reyes pressured him after 6 rounds, but Junto's shots are cleaner. But a draw looks good to me too. You see, I think a draw, we would have been able to digest it. But a unanimous decision and one of the scorecards was 10 rounds to 2. That was diabolical. That was crazy. 10 to 2? According to that judge, Joe Junto absolutely dominated this guy. A card like that, right? But no, if you watch the fight, you know what I'm talking about. Sebastian Hernandez was putting all type of hands on Junto Nakatani. And some of us walked out of there feeling like he may have lost that fight. Or it could have been a draw. Cool. You know, they could have gifted him a draw. Look out for him. Damn, yo, if you want to give him the W, at least make it a close split decision so people can say, hey, unanimous and a 10 to 2 scorecard, that was not a good look. Skipper Clipper, do you think Junto is a A-level fighter? Says Sean Porter. Now, look, honestly, I believe that Junto is one of those guys that's at the top, at the highest level. But you're not going to dominate everybody. Regardless of how great you are, you're not going to dominate everybody. And it turns out that Sebastian Hernandez was a lot better than a lot of people thought. This guy is like another version of Pitbull. Another Pitbull Cruz. A guy that's going to keep going forward, keep applying pressure, keep letting the hands go. He's going to eat every punch you throw at him like it's a goddamn chalupa. Eat it. Keep going forward. Ain't nothing to him. Fighters like that, man, they hard to beat, and they're going to give you problems. JJ's in there. Hit the like button, everyone, and subscribe, no doubt. And by the way, my people, subscribe to Box Center 2.0. You see it right there in the, you know, tagged in the comments. And today, remember, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Goofiest of the Oofiest is going down. You know what it is, man. You call in, give your opinion, debate, argue, trash talk, whatever it is. But the line is open on Goofiest of the Oofiest. Who we voted in for Goofiest of the Oofiest tonight? Me personally, my vote goes to the judge who voted, who scored this fight 10 rounds to 2. He's the goofiest of the oofiest, in my opinion. What a goofball. So tune in tonight to Goofiest of the Oofiest, my peoples. Live only on Box Center 2.0. You see it right there. Subscribe to Box Center 2.0, my people's. Exclusive content over there, dropping almost daily. TR, he was paid off. Bro, when I heard that score, I said, this guy must have filled up that scorecard on Friday or days before the fight. Boop, boop, boop. Here, that's my scorecard. Junto got it 10-2. No matter what happened, it's Junto 10-2. I don't want to hear it. Because how do you watch that fight and only give Hernandez 2 rounds? Did you not see what was going on after round number 6? For you to score at 10-2, that means that this round, that this guy beat the crap out of Junto and still lost the round. You imagine that shit? You beat the crap out of somebody and still lose the round? Coño, loco, está de pinga. Niang Sing. Maybe the judges didn't look at the fight. TR, that makes sense. JJ, 41 people in the building, 15 likes. My peoples, at least help me go to 20 likes, man. Why y'all treating me like I'm a C-level fighter getting pummeled out here? Come on, man. Come on, man. Y'all treating me like that judge did Sebastian Hernandez. Why y'all giving me the 10-8 round? Why y'all giving me the bad scorecards? Golly. Listen, my peoples. That first fight, well, it was the second night of the fight. But Edison Garcia versus Tiger Imanaga, that was crazy, my peoples. That was a crazy fight. And I'm telling you this because although I'm not very familiar with either fighter, I'm more familiar with Garcia because he's Dominican, and I've seen a little bit of him. And I had never seen Tiger Imanaga before the fight. Saw some highlight reels, that was it. But this is the first time that I see him fighting. Leading up to the fight, I said it before, what I kept hearing from the announcers is that Garcia was going to be a good test for Imanaga. Edison was going to show where Imanaga's at, and he's a good test. So my perception was that Edison Garcia was taken there to lose. And so that Tiger Imanaga can look good. Well, this guy pulled off the monster upset. And what tells you that Tiger Imanaga is a highly touted prospect is the fact that his record was only 9-0. And with a 9-0 record, they had him facing Edison Garcia, who was 22-1. And the whole narrative was that Garcia was going to be a good opponent for him. Tiger was going to show us where he at. Next scene, very good right hand by Garcia. Nasty shot. Nasty. And he missed. If you recall, he missed with the left, but that left him in position for the right. Bang! Caught him flush. Flush. It also shows you the type of fighter that Tiger Imanaga is. Because he got hurt. He got hurt. And still was able to fight back. Still never stopped punching. But that fight, it turned into Garcia's fight. Why? Because Imanaga, he want to box you. He want to move. He want to use his angles, the top-notch footwork. But Garcia kept teeing off, kept landing some big shots on him. And, applying that relentless pressure, he slowed him down. And eventually, Tiger Imanaga had to stop and just start trading with him. It turned into that. And it was a very competitive fight, very good fight, with Garcia walking out of there with the monster upset. Unexpected. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure about this, but I think Edison Garcia took this fight on a short notice. And still did what he had to do. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me in the comments, but Tiger Imanaga was supposed to fight for a title. The champion, I think, fell ill or got hurt, had to pull out, and Edison Garcia is the replacement fighter. I think that's the way that this fight came about, if I'm not mistaken. Because it could be a different fight that I'm thinking about. You guys can keep me honest in the comments. But nevertheless, Edison Garcia showed up and showed out. Keep an eye, my peoples. Remember that I told you this. Keep an eye on both of these fighters. Edison Garcia, Tiger Imanaga. They can fight, both of them. They good. Both of these guys can fight, my people. So, and I became a fan. I became a fan of Tiger and Managa. In that L, I became a fan. Jay is in the house. I'm at the airport, Jay Smith. Leaving Idaho to California. Ooh. Enjoy the show while you're at the airport. Just chilling, my G. There you have it. Now you don't have to be bored at the airport. My peoples. My peoples. We got a great night of boxing. Some controversy with Junto Nakatani and Sebastian Hernandez. Some controversy there. But when it comes to Edison Garcia and Tiger and Managa are no doubter. No doubter. Sebastian Garcia, I said Sebastian Garcia. Edison Garcia got the W, got the monster upset. Let's see what's next for him. Big opportunities, big doors are going to open for Edison Garcia. Junto Nakatani, that was a controversial win, to say the least. But nevertheless, he won. That's what the record books show, right? Potentially, he could be fighting Naoya Inoue next year. We saw what the monster did to David Picasso. Outclassed him, outworked him. Looked sharp, looked fast. It went the distance, but the monster pitched a shutout. Easy win. Easy win. Dominated. Will we get Junto Nakatani versus the monster next year? We shall see. Junto called out Nakatani after his fight. He pointed out that he specifically moved up to that division because he wants to fight the monster. And then they also asked Naoya Inoue about Nakatani. He's like, yeah, of course. He's about that action. So I think this is one of those fights that it's inevitable, and we're probably going to get it sooner rather than later. Now, today's December 29th, my people. We're almost a month away from Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson. Let that sizzle in your spirit, my peoples. The predictions with that fight, I come to realize that they're all over the place. There's people saying Teofimo's gonna knock Shakur out. There's people saying Shakur's gonna outbox him and even make it look easy. And whichever way guys see it playing out, people are confident. There's people that are confident that Shakur is gonna make easy work of Teofimo. And there's also people confident in Teofimo Lopez pulling out the knockout victory over Shakur. What is it really gonna be, my peoples? Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna be one of the most important fights of the year, and it goes down on January 31st, on the first month of the year. Let that sizzle in your spirit. Clifton Dennis, can we break down Keyshawn versus Ortiz? Ooh, Keyshawn Davis versus Jermaine Ortiz. Yeah, definitely. That's a heck of a fight. And you know what makes that fight interesting? That Jermaine Ortiz been in the ring with Teofimo Lopez. That gives that fight another layer of interest. Because we know Jermaine Ortiz is a guy that can fight. Gotta give him his respect. You gotta give it to him. He's a guy who can fight. Who do you got? Who do you got in that fight? Hold on, I'm just grabbing an image. I'm gonna give you a breakdown. Who do you have in that fight? Wait, by the way, my peoples, make sure that you subscribe to Box Center 2.0. I'm going to give you a good breakdown on here. But all my predictions, man, especially if you're a betting man and you're trying to flip your money, subscribe to Box Center 2.0. Because all of those predictions, that's where they going. So I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of this fight. I'm just getting a little image. Be right with you, my guy. And I really like this fight. I'm excited. I'm excited that Keyshawn Davis is coming back. Excited to see the businessman in the 140 division. See what he's going to do. Here we go, my peoples. So, Keyshawn Davis, Jermaine Ortiz, they're going to fight on January 31st. Co-main event to Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez. I'm going to tell you why I think, and I said it already. The fact that Jermaine Ortiz been in there with Teofimo Lopez adds another layer of interest to this fight. Because people make those comparisons. Even though we know that the triangle theory doesn't work in boxing, but still, we know that Jermaine Ortiz gave Teofimo problems. So automatically, we're looking at this fight and wondering how is Keyshawn Davis going to handle Ortiz? How is this fight going to play out? And can you dominate him? Because if you dominate him, then we're going to have to start to have that conversation. Oh, look, Teofimo had problems and Keyshawn dominated him. So, it's interesting to see how this fight is going to play out. Clifton Dennis. Let me know if I'm looking at the fight correctly. I favor Keyshawn, but I believe Ortiz's feet are better and can give Keyshawn trouble. I believe Ortiz has experience with much higher competition. Not easy. That's a very good assessment. That's a very good assessment. I would say Jermaine Ortiz is the guy who's more mobile on his feet, who's going to move more. And we're going to see Keyshawn Davis going forward and Jermaine Ortiz trying to counterpunch him. And trying to frustrate him, trying to make him chase. I think that's that type of fight that is going to turn into. Only, I think Keyshawn Davis is going to do a better job of cutting off the ring than Teofimo Lopez. In fact, I'd say that's probably one of the main reasons why Teo had problems with Jermaine Ortiz. The movement, the angles. Him having a chase. So I think, and also once you see a fighter do certain things with somebody else, you could prepare for them, for what they do. Because think about Madrimov when he fought Crawford. Most of us never seen Madrimov fight until he fought Crawford. And Crawford didn't even have the benefit of a lot of footage to watch him. Because there's not a lot of him out there. But once Crawford beat him, Virgil Ortiz now has a full 12 rounds of tape on Madrimov to study. And look, even he couldn't stop him. That fight still went the distance. So Jermaine Ortiz faced Teofimo Lopez, gave him a tough fight. Some people even say he won. I didn't say he won, by the way. He made it competitive, but in those championship rounds, he didn't even look like he was trying to win it to me. He looked like he was just trying to look good, trying to finish the fight and say, I look good. As opposed to trying to take it from the champ. I didn't see that. I even said that day that Jermaine Ortiz looked like he wasn't ready to be a champion. Because he made it competitive. He didn't take it away from Teo. But he did show his skills. And that's why I believe, Jermaine Ortiz versus Keyshawn Davis is going to be a competitive fight. It's going to be a good fight. They both got tools in the bag to make it an interesting showdown and to give us some good fireworks. Clifton, I thought he won. I had money on Tio. I felt grateful to get paid. Oh, man. Side, Jermaine lacks that killer instinct. Yeah, man, I'm telling you. He's had moments in that fight with Teofimo Lopez that he just didn't do enough. You know, I think he did enough. Honestly, I didn't think he won that fight. I felt he did enough to look good. He did enough to not get beat up, not get made to look bad. But especially those championship rounds where, he should have been trying to take it from the champ. He didn't do it. Didn't do it at all. But I could tell you, man, I'm really looking forward to this fight just because I know what Jermaine brings to the table. I know that he can fight. And he's going to be fighting on the same night that Teofimo and Shakur are going to be fighting. So those are two good fights back-to-back right there. But I got to say, the narrative that people have that this fight is going to be boring, that Shakur is going to be running, that all of this other stuff, people are going to be wrong. People are going to be wrong. This fight is going to be a real good fight, competitive fight. Both of these guys understand the significance of walking out of there with the W. Shakur knows what this does for him in the pound-for-pound rankings and what it does for him overall in the grand scheme of things. Because he's trying to get to the top. And so is Teofimo Lopez. He knows if he's able to be the first guy to give an L to Shakur Stevenson, the sky's the limit for him. He knows that. Can he do it, though? That's the thing. Can he do it? Can Teofimo Lopez beat Shakur Stevenson? Can Shakur Stevenson beat Teofimo Lopez? I don't know, my people. This is a good fight. That's a good one. And look, I'm just making it, I guess, giving you guys the suspense because I know who's going to win the fight. I know who's going to win the fight. Clifton Dennis, this month is packed. Listen, man, boxing is better than ever. That's why when I hear people say, oh, man, I don't know, boxing is going down. Boxing is not the same. I'm like, man, shut your goofy ass up. You not see all these fights that we getting? And when you add Turkey Al-Sheikh to the equation, he's bringing in more fights. But you know what that also does? It applies pressure to the other promotional companies to make big fights too. Because they know what happens. They the only ones making the big fights. They the only ones that are going to get the support from the fans. So, you got to catch up. You got to catch up with what they're doing in Riyadh season in Saudi Arabia. And by the way, you seen AJ complaining about how the U.S. and the U.K. trying to take taxes? You're going to see more and more people fighting in Saudi Arabia or fighting somewhere else where they don't have to give up a bunch of tax money. Clifton, I've seen versions of Tio that I believe can't beat anyone, even Shakur, but that version doesn't always show up. We're going to see. Look, I can tell you right now, I feel confident in saying we're going to see the best version of Shakur Stevenson and the best version of Teofimo Lopez. Both of these young fighters in their prime. We know the accomplishments already, the titles in the multiple divisions, the unifications, all of that stuff. That's it. They're going to share the ring. And it's going to be a much better fight than a lot of people suggest it's going to be. I can promise you that. Both of these guys are trying to have that moment. Like, okay, this is it right here. This is the guy. And I told you guys before, there's a short list of fighters who are next in line for the throne. Who's gonna be the next face of boxing? And two of the fighters in that list are Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. Let that sizzle in your spirit. Marie, Shakur will shock the boxing world. Mark my words. He's very smart. He made y'all believe that bullshit people saying about him, that pillow fit hands, Shakur, runner, and so on. But wait, y'all will be shocked. Look, man, from what they've been saying and what Terrence Crawford said, he's not trying to just go out there and just box him. He's trying to go out there and beat the shit out of Tio. Beat the shit out of him. So, but obviously Teofimo Lopez want to do the same thing. And I think Tio knows that he's not going to outbox Shakur unless you hurt him. You know, if you get him hurt, that's different. But Teofimo Lopez is going to have to look for the knockout. He's going to have to look for the knockout, my peoples, because he knows he's not going to outbox Shakur and beat him on the cards. And it's like I say, you can beat him on the cards, but you have to hurt him. Boom. Maybe drop him. He's not able to recover. And from that point forward, you start winning rounds. That can happen. But if you don't hurt him, you're not outboxing him. You're not going to win on the cards. Clifton, I don't believe Shakur going to try to beat the ish out of Tio. You're going to see. Look, what was the narrative before he fought Zepeda? The narrative was that Shakur hands are too brittle. Zepeda hit too hard. Shakur wasn't going to be able to keep him off of him. Zepeda was going to beat him up, probably even stop him. And look at the dominant performance that we got from Shakur. For Zepeda from inside of the phone booth. And people didn't expect it to play out that way. But it did. I think when we look back at Shakur's fights, it's easy to see how he can fight you in all these different ways. He can fight you off the back foot. He can fight you on the inside, on the outside. He can beat you at your game, or he can just box you, make it look easy. Not a lot of fighters can do that. A lot of fighters have one gear. This is what I do, and this is how I fight. Not Shakur. And I think it's crazy that at this point, people still bring up the De Los Santos fight. He's already gotten multiple wins since then. But we're going to continue to see Shakur winning and winning and winning. Can he beat Teofimo Lopez? Is he going to beat Teofimo Lopez? We're going to find out. But I tell you what, that's going to be a real good fight. That's going to be a competitive fight. And, of course, I will be predicting it for y'all on Box Center 2.0. You'll see it right there. Pinned on the comments. Subscribe to Box Center 2.0, my people. And hit that like button, yo. Golly. Y'all be wilding on me, man. Double tap that screen. Too much ghost watching on this Monday morning, on this beautiful episode of Boxing for Breakfast. Marie, I believe Shakur will even drop Tio, because Tio also believes Shakur doesn't have power, and Shakur will surprise him. I see Shakur winning clearly. Even the people picking Tio don't really believe that. Yo, like somebody told me yesterday, he said, Jay, I know Shakur's going to win, but I want Tio to beat him. There's people that just want to see Shakur lose. But if you think about it, that always happens when somebody's that good, when somebody's that great. People want to see Terrence Crawford lose. You don't see how they want him to fight Benavidez and want him to fight Usyk. They want him to fight bigger and bigger and bigger guys until he loses. Shakur Stevenson is one of those fighters who people want to see him lose. That's why I even said, why compare Shakur to Floyd? That's another comparison that I got. That's another comparison that I got. Shakur and Floyd. Because I got to personally witness the hate that Floyd Mayweather received. And I see Shakur getting the same one, the same thing. Shakur Stevenson get the same hate Floyd Mayweather get. People forget that the narrative on Floyd, when he was active, was that he ran too much, that he didn't have no power, that he was boring to watch, that people was falling asleep in his fights. That was actually the narrative. Yet, Floyd retired, became one of the greatest fighters of all time, one of the most popular fighters of all time. So, it looks like he went about his business the right way. Pretty much worked out. So now we see Terrence Crawford get the same type of treatment. Oh, he's not a big star. He don't make money like that. He's the B-level guy. Blah, blah, blah. And now we see the guy become the face of boxing and one of the richest fighters. Now, are we going to see Terrence Crawford come back? Or is he retired for good? We shall find out. We shall find out. Honestly, my peoples, if Crawford doesn't come back, you know, it's going to be not cool for us because we don't get to see him in the ring doing what he does anymore. But I respect it. You know, Crawford is a fighter who has accomplished a lot in the sport of boxing, made a lot of money, and I say he earned the right to do whatever he want to do. You just got to respect it. My peoples. So, let me know, what do you think about Naoya Inoue? Is he the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, or is it Alexander Usyk? Watching that performance, where do you rank Naoya Inoue in the pound-for-pound list? Clifton got Usyk as the #1 pound-for-pound in the world. Clifton, how can you put anyone over Usyk? I'm not putting anyone over Usyk. I think that Naoya Inoue and Alexander Usyk are right there, 1 and 2. But whichever one you put in the first spot, I'm not even mad because they're both that great. They're both just that great. So how do you decide who's better than the other, really? Sad. Usyk and Inoue are interchangeable. Yeah, look, I think that those are the two best fighters in the world. Whichever one you put them, I respect it. I see people have Inoue at the top. Some people have Usyk. I respect it. It's two great fighters. Gotta respect it, my brother. Marie, by the way, Inoue showed y'all what hit and don't get hit really looks like. Now y'all like favorite fighters try to manipulate us to believe what they do is the real science. Nah, look at Inoue, that's real. Now yeah, Inoue, man, just the footwork, the angles, the power, combination punching, the punch placement. It's like he does everything. Everything with surgical precision. Marie, and still entertaining. And still entertaining like Ali did. What these fighters doing is not the real science. I believe that. Look, man, Naoya Inoue, I have to say he's special. You know, we've seen him fighting, you know, many times before, and every time he steps out, he shows you why they call him the monster. There's a reason why he's the monster. Simple as that. We found out. My peoples, I'm about to end this episode of Boxing for Breakfast. Holiday season, ending them a little bit early. But before I do, I want to give a shout out to everybody who tuned in this morning. Marie De Bruyne, Sai, Clifton, Corey B in the building. What's the deal, family? JJ Zendejas, and everybody else who tuned in, my peoples. Y'all already know. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Boxing for Breakfast. God damn, y'all couldn't even get to 30 likes. Almost an hour and a half. Y'all did me. The Dirt McGirt. Sai, who do you think has the best chance of beating Inoue? Bam Rodriguez. I think he has the best chance. But again, shout out to everybody who hit the like button. Shout out to the Ghost Watchers too. One love to everybody who tuned in. You already know what it is, my peoples. Tomorrow's episode of Boxing for Breakfast, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And tonight, Goofiest of the Oofiest. Don't miss it. Subscribe to Box Center 2.0. Remember, Goofiest of the Oofiest is exclusive to that channel. And the line will be open, so you can call in, you can vote in, nominate your own Goofiest of the Oofiest. But we're going to do what we do, my peoples. We'll be talking boxing. Once again, salute to everybody tuning in. This is Boxing for Breakfast with Jay Smith. I'm Jay Smith. I'm getting the hell out of here, my peoples. One love. Bam. Peace.